Optimization. It's a hefty word. It means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. And for me, honestly, it has a slight negative sentiment. It feels like someone's about to hand me more work. It feels like I need to work on something or tweak something because someone isn't happy. I had a peer one time, really a mentor, first job out of college, and he pulled me aside and he said, look around this room. Just because people are working late doesn't mean they're working hard. And then he said, every minute that you are procrastinating is time that you will not get back tonight to be with your family. And I was like, oh, fine, just scarred me emotionally and I'll remember that forever. It was really good advice, something that has stuck with me 13 years after that interaction. If we don't optimize our day, if we're not being efficient, we are stealing time from the things that we really enjoy doing, the people that we should be with, or the things that we need to do after work. So is it worth looking at your day and how you do things to optimize them? And taking that maybe negative sentiment you have around optimization, if it's techie, if it's something that's maybe not for me, and replacing that with you are about to get your time back. We all want time back. In fact, I would say that optimization is really the process of making a good thing better. You have a solid process in place, you know what you're doing, and now it's time to find those little gaps that you can start to fill with data and insight. As always, how does this apply to you as a fleet manager? We looked at other successful fleet managers in the space and ran clips on how they optimize. And there was a pattern. We at Fleetio put together 5 pillars of things that we've seen other fleet managers stand on to run successful fleets. We're going to run through those 5 things, backing up our findings from the words of other fleet managers. 1, have your data in order. Data is the thing that makes this whole optimization thing work. Your data gives you a starting place which you can move from to experiment and tweak. We all need that reporting baseline established. Good or bad, be honest with it. Let's start where you are. Even if it's awful, put it down so you can measure things appropriately. One of our customers, Michael Farr, had this to say about it.
Looking at the data is huge for me. When I get to kind of sit back and take a look at the big picture when it comes to how we service our vehicles, whether it's regionally or as a fleet as a whole, or even in just a particular city, take a look at the data and really rely on it to kind of show you the truth. And that's going to breed possibly a change in how you operate. It's going to show you the best way to practice your fleet maintenance. So really rely on the data and take a look at it, take a hard look at it, and spend time doing so, because we've identified multiple trends and multiple habits that seem to occur just within our data, and we can change and really optimize how we operate as a fleet department or as a company as a whole with that information, because the numbers don't lie.
And there's no shortage of things that you can track, but there are a couple of non-negotiables in the fleet world that you need to be aware of, at least these 3. Cost per mile, total cost of ownership, and PM and compliance rate. That's kind of the big magic 3 we need to start from. You see, cost per mile will let you see exactly how much you're spending on each asset. Even if you knew that, you can either watch for the cost to go up or down. As much as you make small changes to your fleet, it's a super easy indicator if you're doing something right or wrong. And Bill Spare from the town of Apex is a big fan of cost per mile.
One of the most important things that I found was to measure the operating costs of our vehicles. So we use the cost per mile method. This method really allowed us to hone in on the perfect time to replace our vehicles. We can get really specific with, the cost of that vehicle and associate to, how long we keep it. It's also enabled us to make more educated procurement decisions as well.
The next one, TCO, total cost of ownership, is like cost per mile. Plus, it's a high financial overview of how much your assets cost over the course of their lifespan. It doesn't just look at fuel or maintenance. It factors in everything, from acquisition to depreciation, from leasing, licensing. When that number starts to go up, and all will eventually, it means that the asset is starting to becoming more of an optimization nightmare, stealing your time along with other things. And last of the big 3 is PM compliance. Maybe seem like a weird one to throw in the mix, but it's more important than most people give it credit for. What it shows is how effective your organization runs. Well-established PM schedules and completion rates mean you have an effective maintenance team and compliant assets. Now, there are a ton of other factors that you could track. Fuel efficiency, idle time, utilization, more on that one in a little bit. But if you start with these 3 things and stay on top of them, you'll get farther than you think. Next one on this list is don't negotiate when it comes to PM. If you want to be an optimized fleet manager, you need to rework your mindset. Optimization starts with data, and the real work happens under the hood. Every year, we publish a benchmarking report where we pull from real data and Fleetio and survey actual fleet managers working across different industries. And the results are clear. Fleets with high compliance rates above 85% do 3/4 or more of their maintenance proactively. It kind of feels a little bit like in the times that we're in. Push it down the line, deal with it later. You can finance a burrito from Chipotle now. A burrito. But dealing with it later always costs more in more ways than we expect. High compliance equals more success. And if you're one of the people being honest with themselves, consistently trying to recover from unscheduled repairs and unplanned downtime, you're in the fleet equivalent of fight or flight right now. And if you're in that mode, no judgment. This is about taking an honest look at where you are in this process. I hope that you make an active decision to put aside time to look at your fleet holistically and see what needs to change so you can get out of that state of just surviving. Not only are you losing in the long run, you're losing money in the short term too, and probably some bigger things like sleep and peace of mind. Talking about people doing the right thing, here is someone who acts on things when they see them in the fleet world. Dennis Winter from A&D Environmental.
When you have breakdowns, you have to bring tow vehicles in, which is very expensive. You have trucks down on sites, which you're paying employees and not getting revenue from that. Having equipment up and reliable is because some of these customers are losing up to $1 million a day with the production line being scheduled down for PMs. So if they end up rolling over an extra day or so because the equipment breaks down, they lose that money. And then also we lose revenue because we got a bunch of guys standing around that can't work, so we have to eat those costs.
I also want to throw in there James Shelton, who's a technical field support manager for Jiffy Lube International.
Remember that maintenance is a proactive action. It should not be reactive. You think about it, if you're running a fleet and you've got deliveries that need to be made, and that truck or that car or that pickup truck, whatever, is broken down because of a maintenance-related item, I mean, that's that percentage of work that truck can't do until it's repaired. So it's my recommendation to be more on the proactive side, spend the money up front, because in the long run, it's going to pay for itself.
Utilize your assets. I brought up utilization earlier, but let's dig in a little bit deeper. Right-sizing your fleet is challenging, but it is a high-valued optimization tool, so you have the exact right amount of assets to fulfill your workload, and a few working spares for strategic backup. And by the way, that piece of equipment that hasn't moved in 2 years in the far right end of your property, that doesn't count. Lazy assets drive up costs. Idle vehicles are expensive. That means you need to be willing to get rid of assets in your inventory that are underutilized. Okay, it is smart to have 1 or 2 backups on hand, but there does come a point where it's no longer feasible. It's like having that old pair of socks in your drawer that has holes in them. You know when they have holes, and when you go to pick them up, you're just disappointed, and you realize you should have thrown them away a long time ago. Psych, I'm wearing flip-flops, but you can't see that. And at the same time, you may be in a position where you need to add assets. If you don't have enough vehicles or equipment to get the job done, that's also lost revenue. For fleet managers like Andy Ransom at United Site Services, utilization is of particular importance.
Utilization is the third point. Utilization equals CapEx. Utilization equals really. We're looking to make sure that we're getting the best bang out of the buck for our assets.
Bob Polka at Treeways agrees.
Probably the biggest metric, and it's been the biggest metric for any fleet I've been in, and it kind of sums up all the other things, is fleet availability, right? At the end of the day, is my truck ready to go? Can I use it? Can it be used as long as I want to use it without any issues? So really the biggest metric, I think, and probably the most important metric is fleet availability. And then they start to trickle down, then you look at PM compliance, and then you look at cost and cost per mile, depending on the type of fleet that you're in and things like that, then they start to trickle off. But at the end of the day, it's all about fleet availability because that's what you got the fleet for, right? You need it to work.
Staying engaged and involved with your team. Picture this, a fleet manager's dream state. It's called Cancun. No, it's where you put all the right processes in place and everything's wonderful and lovely and you never have to think about your fleet. You just pull up to the office, you pull up in that parking space and you put it in reverse, son, because you're done. Go home. Whoop. That's how on it you are. But until that happens, you probably have some things you can improve on, or you can just go to Cancun. The point is, optimization won't happen in a vacuum. You need your whole organization invested, which means you need to invest in those around you. And Tom Rawlings at City and Cambridge is a great example of this. Sometimes the best optimization tactics don't always come from the top down.
Making sure that you're listening to people. More often than not, and I've experienced it firsthand, it doesn't matter what industry, just in life in general, if you're a manager that is going to say, you're going to do what I do and what I'm telling you to do because I'm the boss, then you are not going to be successful in implementing even the greatest of technologies out there. You have to be open and know that, hey, I consider myself to be a fairly intelligent individual, but you know what? These guys that work for me are not idiots. They got to where they are because they can perform their jobs well, and they're doing a good job at it, and I recognize that. So listening to them is extremely important.
Investing in your team's training can do just as much to optimize your efficiency as any desk decision ever could. Take it from Dave Johnson, the president and CEO of ASE.
We surveyed over 30,000 technicians in 2024 on repair frequency of different tasks. But along with that, we asked them, what are your certifications in ASE, if you have any? And we went to everyone. So those with and without certification, and we asked them about what's your income and how many years have you been working in the industry? And what we saw was within those groupings, I'll say of early career, mid-career, late career, there was this consistent about 20%, some cases 18, some cases a little over 20. So I'm just saying 20% higher pay for certified versus non-certified.
Last one, number 5. Go hands off where you can. It could feel counterintuitive with all the talk about staying engaged, but there is a line where you don't want to be the fleet manager who hides behind your office door, and you also don't want to be the fleet manager who wastes time on menial, repetitive tasks. The right fleet technologies can take away the daily effort of data collection and form filling, so you can actually spend your time making decisions instead of spending all your time rounding up the information to make decisions. Good tech just makes it easier to work with the data that you already have. It also helps you unlock new sources of data that you can use to continue optimizing. Kendrick from United Site Services has this to say.
I love finding ways to help fleets run more efficiently so we can be more focused on strategy and preventative maintenance rather than reactive maintenance.
And here's Chase from Valvoline and his perspective on why fleet management technology has become so important to optimize.
I think there's been a big shift in the whole, fleet management process over the last 5 to 10 years, and fleets are really looking for additional data, access to more of their service records to really improve that decision making, and just having that real-time visibility into history and upcoming service needs as well it's critical for fleet operations.
Optimizing may seem like there's a lot attached to it, but it's as simple as you're willing to make it. And you can be as in-depth or surface level as you want to be. So, from here on out, if I ever say optimize, I think of putting in the work now to get more of my time back later and have everything around me run smoother. So personally, I'm looking to hear from you. How are you guys optimizing your fleet? Do you agree or disagree with any of the recommendations? Let us know in the comments. And by the way, if you're thinking you would like more content and tips like these, don't subscribe. Don't like this video. Keep all of those fleet tips to yourself. Hoard them all in your basement. Don't think about sharing this. That would only help others get the word out that might need these kind of helpful tips. What kind of horrible person would you be if you did that? Anyway, hope this one helped. Wish you all the best. Have a good one.